Hello, Georgetta Gankars here, and I'm going to start painting. I'm going to do a series today. It's going to be a 5-part series and just little short paintings, and I'm going to do a landscape. And I'm going to have on the fan, so it's a little bit of background noise. It's very hot here, it's about 90 degrees. So let's get started. I'll show you. This is my palette, and I have a bunch of different yellows here because I'm going to combine the yellows with the blacks to make a green, and I have green and yellow, and I have yellow and blue to make some different color greens. I have my landscape browns, and I have an orange and a green to make another brown, and I have my sky colors. So get started now. Move this down so you can see. And you hear a little noise, it's just the fan. Okay. So I'm going to use my large wash brush. I'll show you what it looks like. It's a rough kind of bristled brush. What I've done is I prepared the canvas ahead of time, so I gessoed it so it has a kind of texture here. I wanted that texture for my landscape. I could have sanded it. I didn't want that. We'll start with the rough bristle brush here. You could use a hack if you wanted to. And for my palette knife, I have my half blade. And I want to make the sky a little bit more like a Payne's gray. So I'm mixing a little bit of blue and some black and some white. So I have that. So that's just my tea white and a cerulean blue. And I want to make it a little bit brighter. So I use cerulean and some Mars black. I'm just going to mix enough of that. So I have enough for my sky. And we're ready to get started. And I'm going to use another rough brush. This is like about a size 12. It's another hog hair bristle brush. I'm using acrylics today. I'm going to dip it in my water, wipe it off on my rag. I'm going to start at the top of the canvas. And again, I'm just doing this quick wash, going across. And for you, it's a little bit backwards. And I'm dipping my brush in the water and just wiping it off. I'm going to do it halfway down. And as I go a little bit down, I'm going to be incorporating a little bit of white in there because I want the sky to have some areas where it's going to be a little bit darker blue and some areas where they're going to be light. And I'm blending it as I'm doing it. So I'm doing it wet on wet. And I want to show you up close. I'm just putting this covering down here. I have a nice smooth gradation going back from left to right. I'll kind of get this. Okay, it's going to be like this. I was just painting it so you could see a little bit better on the camera. And I want some areas to be darker again. So that gradation that I have going through is perfect. And then I want to cover this area down here. I'm not going to even really clean my brush. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow on the tip of my brush. And I'm going to pick up some primary green. And it's very bright. So I'm going to dab it into my phthalo and then in my umber brown. So I have a mixture of a bunch of different colors, but it's just a dark wash that I'm kind of just putting here at the bottom of the canvas. I'm just kind of covering that. So it's a bunch of colors that I have again. It's my phthalo green, my primary green, my yellow, and my umber brown. And I'll show you when I'm dipping it. I'm just picking up the colors directly from the canvas. I'm not even using my palette knife at this point. I'm kind of just going across. And when my brush gets too hard to drag across the canvas, I'm just going to pick up more paint. I'm just going to drag it across. And now I'm going to start bringing in some darker areas here, as you can see. And I'm going to put them here because these are where my trees are going to be. So again, I'm just doing this fast. I am doing this backwards because I'm doing it on camera, so I'm not looking at directly what I'm painting. It's a skill that I kind of developed. I could have the canvas sideways where you can see, but this makes it a little bit more interesting. And I'm just basically covering some of that dark umber brown. And this is my underpainting. I'm doing a little bit of a direct painting today, which means I'm just taking the colors and just putting them directly on the canvas. I could have had this as an underpainting if I wanted to, as a dark gray, or more preferably to bring out the warms, a brown. But I had umber brown or alizarin crimson mixed with some brown. Now I'm just bringing some browns on top. And I have that brown directly in my brush here. I'll let you see how it looks on the canvas. I'm just bringing that on top. I'm just blending it in certain areas, because this is going to be my foreground, and it has a little bit of earth tones. I've been working on this like 5 minutes, and I pretty much have what I want as far as my landscape washed out. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up, instead of having cleaned my brush, I'm just picking up some yellow into that mixture. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of dot this yellow directly on top of this area here. You can see I'm kind of just pressing. I'm just putting in some light colors, just masking in the colors. I'm going to do all of the highlights later, and of course the details, but I just want to put these values in, and I want to do it pretty fast. And I know where they are. Again, I'm working backwards. Now I'm just pushing a little bit harder so they blend in. I'm going to kind of have this going on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to blend some brown and some dark areas in between to divide these spaces so I know where they are. I always want to have some of the negative space coming through as far as the trees, because sometimes the sky comes through and you don't want to cover that whole area here. In a lot of landscapes you will see pieces of the trees coming through. I'm going to make it a little bit realistic like that. This is kind of an impressionist painting anyway. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of white on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to bring it up here. I'm just kind of dotting these areas, which are going to be now this green. So I have a bunch of colors in my brush, right? I have some browns. I have my sienna brown. I have an umber. And I have some tea white, which of course is making it very transparent and a little bit opaque. And it has the idea that this has, a little bit of distance. These trees now are kind of in the distance because of this white in the background. And I'm just going to pick up some more. I have blue and white on my brush. I'm just dabbing that so they mix a little bit with the sky. Okay. And you can see what's happening here, and it gives it a sense of distance. And again, I'm painting this backwards. If you've ever seen anybody do a painting backwards, it's me. I can't paint like this. So I'm filling in these areas for the landscape. And this would be what I have as far as masking it off. I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow now with the tip of the same brush that I have on the edge with the white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a light area, and I'm guessing that I have to look at it this way. I'm thinking that my light area is probably going to be more over here. And I'm going to put it a little bit under this, under the middle ground. So I'm just kind of dabbing that in now. I'm going to have a little one here. I'm going to have some more of that color over here. When you're doing your canvas, you want to make sure that it's kind of cohesive if you want. You can have a little bit of balance here where I have a little bit of my light and my darker colors. Where is that light color coming? I'm going to take it back and look at it. And for me, I think I want a little bit more light here. And again, I'm just, at this point, I'm just kind of dabbing these areas and building them up. Okay? And you can see how thick this is becoming. And I encourage you, like when you're doing stuff, to hold it away from you. You know, hold it away where you can see that contrast. You know, if you say, oh, I need more blue here, or I need, you know, another color, more white here, I know how I can pick up that color and start blending it. Okay? In my situation, I'm going to start adding a little bit more whites. And when I bin the whites into here, they're going to look further away, more opaque. And it's kind of what I want for this scene. I want it to be very lush. And I want to build up, you can see all the different colors that I have. And again, I'll show you my palette. I have these beautiful blues. I made my own Payne's Gray. And I kept the brush. I'm still using this same brush. I have not changed the brush or the coloring underneath. So now I'm going to pick up, I have some sienna brown on here. And I'm just going to put this a little bit here. A little bit throughout the painting. I could use a fan brush if I wanted to, but just kind of getting where I might have, again, a little bit of the earth just to build it up. Just little spots of brown that I might see coming through. If I want to make the brown lighter, you can add a little bit of yellow in them. And these are going to be where I'm going to have some kind of trees or hedges, different types of flowers. I'm going to go in there again with the fan brush, but again, I'm just building up these areas now. I'm going to make them a little bit more opaque. And I kind of have this going on at this point. So I'm going to put my brush down. I need some more white. You can see how this looks so far up close. And again, we've just been working on this maybe about, looking at the time, 10 minutes, right? I talked a little bit before. Now I'm just going to use a lot of white. And this is, you know, if you've taken one of my classes, I go over the history of the Impressionist painters, and why they painted like that, and why some of them did use opaque colors, and how we can use them for the distance of the shadows. I'm just going to pick a little bit of white with my brush, and I'm just going to dab lightly in these areas. I think I want these to be, you know, some light flowers coming through. And we'll go back and we're going to change the colors. We're going to add a lot more colors to these flowers when we go. This is just the foreground. We're going to have some beautiful greens in here. We're going to have some I'm going to change. Some of them might have bright greens, as you can see. And we're going to tone that down because that's not a, it's not a realistic color. The cool thing is when you're doing, painting from your head, like I'm doing this landscape, you can just put in the colors that you like. You can put in a contrasting color like a purple and a yellow. That works so well. So look at your color wheel and think, ooh, what am I going to contrast? I have a warm color here. I could have a cool color here. That might work really interesting. Like some purples would be really beautiful around here as I start building up these areas. I could also darken them, and by going and putting a little bit of black in between, I love when I do that with oils because I'm working wet on wet. Now I'm working with acrylics. The layering is a little bit more rapid. I can go a little bit faster because of the colors, and they dry a little bit more faster than the oils. But there's, ways that we can paint the oils where I show students where we build up these layers right away. We can get busy, as I say. So again, this is just kind of like masking out, and I'll show you there's many different ways that we can do this, many different ways that we can build up layers on our canvas. This is more like a kind of direct painting approach. I've done other classes where I show you where we're building up with our imprimatura, and then our underpainting, and we're not doing as many as the direct painting. That's a little bit of a different kind of method here. Okay, and you can see now I'm going to start building up this area. Okay, so I'll come back and I will build a lot. And again, I'm painting backwards. Okay, but usually I would be painting like this in the canvas, so you can see. So this is what we have so far. And I can come back and I can really start. Now I have my values. I know what I'm going to put. I'm going to put more lights here, have more green showing through. This is going to be a whole different tree. So again, starting, just masking it out, and we'll come back for part 2. Okay, have a great day. Ciao.